Well, I'm on the phone with Coach Mark Arnold, the head coach of the MDI high school football team, every Monday and Friday during football season. Coach, finally the MDI, it sounds like The Rock here. Finally The Rock has returned. But finally the MDI football team is returning home after a couple of weeks on the road, and homecoming, senior recognition night. It's nice to be home, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a big week for us here, with it being senior night especially, homecoming, so there's a lot of excitement, a lot of events happening around the school this week. It's been a nice week to return home. It
was Spirit Week, and you mentioning that the boys did a cheer during the pep rally. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to grab that, and we'll post that in this story, but those pep rallies are lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, number one, we have an awesome band. I keep thinking we have such a big band that I at times think it's too big for our gym.
Right.
It's so loud, but it's really nice. That gets the excitement. You can hear them warming up in the school before people get down there and people start to get excited, and we have really nice pep assemblies with our kids.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, being at senior night, let's talk a little bit about the seniors, if you would, and then we'll go into a little bit about the game, getting ready for tonight.
Okay. Well, I'll just work down through my list of our kids. We have 8 seniors this season that have been on the team, and they're definitely any senior group. When you've had them around, they're a bunch of special guys. But this is a group of guys who've been really close together. Most of them, in this group, there's a core group of linemen that have been kind of that. Linemen are kind of a unique crew, and they're sort of a team within a team sometimes, and this group has truly been that way for us. So I'll start out with Adam Birdsell. Adam has been a lineman for us. He was first team all-conference last year. He's struggled with some injuries this season, but has still had an excellent year. Adam's a great kid, and one thing that's special about this group is this is kind of the group that, in terms of my where my room was in the school, this group started eating lunch in my room 4 years ago, and Adam was one of the first people who was always in my room at lunch, and over time, spending that time each day with someone, you get pretty close to some guys, and Adam's been a great guy to have around, and an outstanding performer for us on the line this year. So, and then we have Sam Hoff. Sam has played some different positions for us. Sam didn't play as a freshman here. He was a soccer player, and we converted him over, or he converted himself probably because of his size. But he's another guy he's played some tight. Last year he played tight end for us. He's been a linebacker and an important part of our defense. And again, Sam's one of those guys. Right now he's playing our right guard for us on the football team. He started the season at center, but we moved him over to guard as we've had some other kids come along on the line, and he's had a great year there for us. Sam's a big guy, but he's really quick for a big guy. He runs sub-5 in the 40-yard dash, and that's pretty good for a guy.
That's rumbling.
Yeah, that's rumbling for a guy who's 250 probably plus.
Right.
This season. So, but Sam's, one of the nice things about Sam is to see how he's matured as a leader. I mean, I would say emotionally on our team, he is the leader of the pack. He's the guy who kind of likes to get guys pumped up, and you'll see him often grumbling on the field or growling or howling, something like that. But he kind of sets the tone for us emotionally on the field. So next is Gilbert Isaacs, and it's easy to find Gilbert on the football field. He's the biggest football player I've ever coached in high school, and he's a
He's a gentle giant.
He is a gentle giant. I mean, it's kind of hard if you were sitting in a room and the lights were out. This guy, you could not picture this guy being the size he is. He is just, he's quiet in school, and he's usually the good listener, and but he does have his, you watch him on film, he has his tendency to bring out the bigness in him on the football field, that's for sure.
It's like the Hulk. You don't want to make the Hulk mad, but you want the Hulk mad when he's playing football.
Absolutely. I mean, and really, you see Gilbert, he's one of those guys who you really notice is he steps up to challenges. His very best games for us have been when he has an opponent playing across from him, that's one of the better players that have been in our league. And that's where he's had his biggest games over his career. And, he's always doing a nice job. I remember at the beginning of the season when Coach Dion came on staff, we were talking in the summer about setting goals for earning the stickers that we have for our helmets. And I said, well, you're in charge of the offense. You send me a list of the goals that you want to achieve to reinforce the things we think are important. And he had something like that. He wanted to get 7 pancakes. A pancake block is when an offensive lineman actually blocks someone until they're on the ground.
Yeah.
And I can't exactly remember the number, but I know that I sent him back an email and I said that, in a couple of our games, Gilbert had more pancakes than that himself.
Right.
And so
one of my favorite memories from the 2017 season was when Gilbert ran in for the touchdown.
Right.
I mean, it's just, you get him going, and it's like you can't bring him down.
Hey, you never know if the freight train might return.
I'd love to see the freight train.
If that might come back out. But, last year he was in the backfield and ran the ball in on some extra points for us at the end of the season. I know that brought a lot of fun and excitement to the team at the time. And, I know he's had that picture of him running the football on his profile picture for quite a long time.
It was so amazing.
Yeah, I can't imagine being on the other side of the ball watching that come at me.
Oh no, you just let him run unchecked into the end zone.
Hope he trips over you. Next is Elijah Joyce, and I don't think obviously we talk about him every week. He's in the paper every week. He's really the guy that's toted the load for us this year offensively and more quietly defensively. He's the leading tackler on our football team. He's right up there. I think he's, second or third in the conference in tackles defensively. And offensively, he's way out in front in terms of, rushing the football, and we rely on him heavily. Sometimes when you go to describe someone, in these situations, you're thinking about them and wanting to express how they are as a football player. I think everybody knows that Elijah's a good football player. He's just a great athlete. But to know what a good person he is, that's more meaningful to me. It is with all of our guys. But when I think of Elijah Joyce, I seldom actually think of, his accomplishments as a football player. And I just really think of him as a person, because in some ways, as a coach, sometimes you're just lucky enough to know good people, whether it's the people you coach with or, you meet a lot of people, opponents, coaches, or players, but knowing Elijah Joyce is someone who's made me a better person. And so I hope that people understand that when they see him doing well on the field, that he's certainly a guy who's doing well off the field as well. And
I don't want to take away from that, but just in terms of, I just pulled up the rushing yardage. Elijah has 976 yards. The next closest player is 525. Yeah. So he's almost rushed for twice as much as the next closest person in the conference.
Right. I mean, tonight we certainly hope we'll get him over 1,000 yards for the season. You know, one thing we've had in the past couple of years, we've really had a strong backfield. I mean, that's been part of the success to our program in the past couple of years, our strong rushing attack. And Elijah didn't get a whole lot of chances to run the football. I mean, in so many teams, you know, he would have been a starting and probably a top rusher even last year. And, I mean, he would have contributed significantly as a sophomore as an athlete. But we just, you know, we had
the depth.
We had depth at that position. And so this has been his breakout year for that. And it's really nice to see him do well.
Yeah.
Next is Cody Modine. Cody's a senior. He plays defensive back for us. He's also a wide receiver on our team. Cody, again, was a guy who kind of went away from football. He didn't play his freshman year here, and then he came back out for football. He's a guy who this year, you know, the really nice thing about Cody is he's really stepped up as a leader on our team right from our first days in 2 days in the summer. Even really, you know, coming over the summer, he's worked really hard and found a way to be on the field for us. But more importantly, he's led as a team leader for us, always working hard and showing by example. And he's had a nice year at receiver. I mean, for the early part of the season, he was our leading receiver on the football team. So we're hoping he has a couple of good games here as we finish out the season.
Okay.
Next is Darian Williams. Darian this year, Darian came out last year as a junior. He's a guy, I mentioned, you know, that guys come to my room to eat lunch, and now that's kind of turned into almost like a team kind of habit. My room is full every day at lunchtime with our players, but it originally started off, like I said, it was a couple of our lineman guys that are seniors now who started just kind of asking if they could come into my room at lunchtime. And then we had guys come in and watch a little bit of film. And all of a sudden, not last year, but in Darian's sophomore year, at the end of the year, he just started stopping in at lunchtime into my room. And it's not just football players. Anyone can come to my room for lunch. And Darian was one of those guys who just was hanging around. And so after a while, he was sitting close to my desk, and I started asking him, I said, have you ever thought about playing football? And he was a guy who'd been in the band, and he's still involved with our band program here, but he said, I might be interested. Darian, he is from Jamaica, and he decided to come out as a junior, and he's really loved the experience. We've loved having him. He's got a great smile and a lot of energy. This year, he's had some issues in terms of he got a concussion early in the season. He's been slow to recover from that, and then he got sick. And so he's just struggled. Really, this week, he's just getting back, coming to practice this week after about a 3.5-week break. So that's been disappointing in terms of that, but it's great to have him back around with the team, and we're hoping to get him in for some playing time here at the end of the season. So,
and he was one that was signaled out for being one of the helpers with the middle school athlete.
Yeah, definitely. I actually had someone just come to me this morning, and mention that one of our kids in class was struggling with an assignment, and I had a teacher come in this morning and just take time out to tell me, that they wanted me to know that Darian went out of his way to, sit down and help this student in the classroom. And we have a lot of guys like that here, not just the ones that made the paper for it, but Darian's certainly one of those people who's taken to heart the underlying message of our team, and that's, to be caring and to look out for others. So, next is Elon Zabore. Elon's also a guy who came out last year as a junior. Again, if you saw him when he came out, I don't think he weighed 120 pounds when he came out for football last year. And he's probably a little bit bigger this year, maybe 140, 145. But he's a great kid, another one of these kids who just, in terms of character and personality, is, just such a great addition to any team. Sometimes the biggest contributions you make, everyone on a team makes different contributions, and we're really lucky to have so many guys that have really bought into the team concept. They show up for practice every day. They work hard. They're trying to get better, and that earns them a ton of respect, not only from our coaches, but from the other players on the team. And Elon has played wide receiver for us and defensive back as well this year. He's had a good season. He's getting on the field more. And really, when you think about it, when you come out as a junior, you may be a little bit more physically mature, but he's learning the game of football.
Right.
And I think the nice thing is, when these guys graduate, we hope that they take away it's not the football skills we want to last a lifetime for them. It's those things that they learn about being on a team, and you can tell that he understands that. He's got that, and he's been one of the guys that's really contributed to that in our program. And so he's been a great guy to have on our team, and we'll be sad to see him go as well.
Okay.
And then last is Jacob Gregory. Jacob was a guy who, early on here, even when he was a freshman, he was a kid that we were kind of looking at. And I think we got him on some special teams even as a freshman. And in his sophomore year, he was making a contribution, running the football a little bit. We were putting him in special situations defensively. And then he ended up moving to Bucksport in the second half of the year. And last year he wasn't here. And so this year he returned, and he didn't return until just as school was starting. And so it was the third game of the season before we got him in the game. But, he's been a starter for us defensively since he was able to play and this season, and he's starting to make more of a contribution offensively for us as well. He's just a really good athlete. The kid loves football. I think of the number of times that, even when he was in Bucksport, that he was messaging me to tell me something about football, or this is one of those guys that I know that Coach Shields had told me when he came into the program that he knew him when he was a little guy, mm-hmm. and that this guy was one of the kids that he just thought was all about football and all in with that, and it's shown in his abilities. And he's another guy who, for us, helps set the emotional tone on our football team. Sometimes it's a little hard to contain. We have to work with him on containing his energy, right. But he really loves the game, and he's a really nice young man.
And Jacob was helping even off the field when he wasn't able to be on the field during those first three games, because he was filming for you up in the press box.
Right. He really came in, and having come in late, it was one of those things where he really showed that he understood. Well, he'd missed the early part of the season, and came out, and he's been one of our hardest workers in practice this season. And like you said, he contributed during the games, helped set up the field, and then filmed football games for us. Coach Braun was up there. I remember the first game that he was filming, Coach Braun was up there telling us that Jacob was calling all their plays before they ran them.
Yeah.
And so, but we've had a great season with this group. It's always interesting. We graduated 18 seniors last year, and when you have that many seniors, it's sometimes hard for juniors to kind of step up and find a spot in terms of leadership. And so we just really didn't know where we would be in terms of our leadership this season. We did have that lineman group that was coming back with some playing experience, but they really hadn't, with so many seniors last year and such a great group of leaders that we had in last year's team. There just really wasn't a lot of room for these guys to step right to the forefront. And you usually see that a little bit from a couple of juniors. And so when we came into the season, we wondered, we had a lot of new guys coming out for the football team, and we were interested in how this team would gel together. But this group has really stepped up, and they've helped us really carry on that tradition that we want here in the program of what's important to us about being a family and putting things that don't have to do with the scoreboard at the forefront of what we hope our program's about. And that's emerged in interesting ways and ways that I will always remember about this team.
All right, Coach, let's leave it there because we're going to want to join the senior recognition night tonight. Yep. And this was fantastic. Best of luck tonight. I'll see you down on the island.
All right, Chris, we'll see you down here. Chris, we'll see you down here. Chris, we'll see you down here.